Welcome to this session. I'm going to review here the first of the lessons we learned as we began to really dig ourselves out of this life-threatening hole we found ourselves in 8-10 years ago. The first question, of course, whenever you deal with situations like this is, what do I do? What's the right thing to do? And in the last lecture, my suggestion is, first, ask the right question. Well, we must have asked a good question. It was, how do we heal? Because we got good answers to it. And it took us a lot of fussing around to try to find out. The first thing I discovered was that the mercury amalgam fillings, I had 8 of them in my mouth, were really making it very difficult for me to think and to remember. And I found out the hard way because I went to a dentist and had them removed. I had several of them removed in some dental visits. And every time I came home from one of those visits, I found I was really slow at work. I had a hard time remembering things. I was really confused. Finally, my wife said, "What are you doing? You come home at night and just, it's like there's nothing of you left." And I said, "Well, I went to the dentist and had another filling removed." And she said, "You what?" And then I told her this was the 3rd time, and she practically fainted. It became really obvious that whatever it was in those fillings was really a problem for me. And in fact, after that, I had the rest of them removed by a good professional who put a rubber dam over the tooth so that I couldn't be hurt by it, and by God, they were removed and I didn't have a problem from it. So I'm sure that was a problem, a major one for me, and it's taken me a while to recover from it, but there it is. In fact, that was only the first of a number of toxin issues I faced. Let me talk about another. When I was a child, I remember a kind teacher. It was during recess, and all of the other children in my class were out running and having a good time and chasing balls and running after each other. And it was wonderful to watch them, and I watched them. I stood by the teachers. One teacher said, "Richard, go on out and run with them." And she handed me a ball. "Come on, run." So I ran about 5 steps. I gave the ball to somebody else, and I walked back to the teacher. That's it. Something in my body said, "No, don't do it." Okay. Well, right now, I am running probably harder than anybody else in my age category in the tennis group that I'm playing with. I am really doing aerobic stuff, and it is absolutely wonderful. I am having a grand time at it. What's the difference? I bought a frequency generator. It's made by a company I trust named Analog Devices. I remember them from my graduate school years in the 60s. Yeah, I know, don't faint now. But they were around then, and they made quality products then, and they still do. Make a whole lot more of them now. And this is called the Analog Devices AD9850. And it's a demonstration board, which you buy for a few $100s and put it on the back of your computer. That's where it is on mine. Well, I don't use it anymore much, but there it is. And it still works. I've got it. And I found some frequencies. Oh, well, let me tell you why I believe I had this problem with my heart. Asbestos. Perhaps you've read this. The asbestos is in the form of long, very sharp fibers, little needles, that are so sharp that they literally puncture the white blood cells that the body sends to remove them. I found a frequency that changed the chemical structure of the asbestos so that it was no longer a crystal. It became a semi-liquid and collapsed, and the body could safely remove it. My heart's healthy now. Or at least I act like my heart's healthy, so I might as well be right? That's what I think did it. That was my first task, getting rid of toxins. Now that said, as far as I can tell, the only method that worked was frequencies. Yes, I know there's chelators, and I know there's cleanses, and I know there are other methods, and I know there's mental, and I know there's energy work. Folks, I do all of them, and so does my wife, and we've tried them all. The only method I've found that works, and it does consistently work, is the frequencies. Please experiment on your own, but that's today's lesson. Start by getting rid of toxins. Maybe 100 years ago people didn't have to, but today, I bet most of us do. Good luck. Thanks for coming. I'll talk to you again. Bye now.